Hi, so it's April. I'm recording this now because I'm really good at procrastinating and I want this to be out in June. The footage for this video is probably going to be some just me drawing. Other than that, I'm mostly going to be interspicing what I'm talking about. If you know, you know, but that's what the next section is for. This is just the intro and disclaimer. So, transition. I just want to give a really quick content warning before we get too far into things. Nothing's going to be discussed in depth, and everything mentioned will be fictional. But these are going to be pretty important to the story. So, content warning for child abuse, unhealthy relationships, including romantic and sexual, pregnancy, and bad audio. For my two viewers, one of you probably knows what Shoot from the Hip is, and the other one does not. What is Shoot from the Hip? It's an improv comedy group based in the UK, comprised of 4 members, which are pretty easy to tell apart. Sam, the one in flannel, Luke, the short one, AJ, the bald one, and Tom, the tall one. That made me feel like I personally knew them, and I kind of didn't like that, so... But it's for you. It's so that you can know. So anyway, what they do is they improvise. They do a bunch of games and then they do an improvised play. So they get a title from the audience and then, they improvise a show around it. Clarissa's DIY wedding was posted January 19th of 2025, which first of all, that was a while ago. Also, this isn't related. I just think you need to know. You see this? This is the thumbnail, okay? Right? And look what they posted of January of this year. Oh, also I did say Sam wears flannel. This is not applicable for this show in particular, but almost every other time, okay? I promise. But anyways, what are we waiting around for? We got a wedding to attend. So our story opens up with this lovely young couple strolling along New Jersey. They're reminiscing on the time they first met, which is, it'll come back later.
I remember when we first met up here, when I was out here, having a party with the boys. You were having a party with the girls.
Quickly learn that this is Mark, and Mark gets down on one knee, and Mark says, Suzanne.
I wanted you to be my wife, Suzanne.
And Suzanne gets a phone call. And this is literally what sparks the entire rest of the story, so it's my favorite. So Clarissa gets a phone call from her mom, who's like, Clarissa, Suzanne Jenkins. So we know we're watching Clarissa of Clarissa's DIY wedding. Basically, the mom's like, oh my god, I'm sick and dying. You should come visit me. And Clarissa's like, yeah, I'm getting proposed to right now. And the mom's like, what? Oh my god, hang up the phone. And Mark is tired of this. He stands up. And Clarissa's like, why are you standing? He's like, I was literally proposing to you and you just took a phone call. And Clarissa's like, it was my mom. She's literally dying or whatever. And Mark's like, okay, but you always do this. He throws the ring. And Clarissa's like, wait, but you have the car. He's like, I literally don't care. So we skip to the next scene. And Mark has arrived home. We get to meet his dad, which is the worst character. The worst character. You'll see. We don't, obviously it's all improv, everything's mimed, but what I assume he comes home to is this kind of dark, dingy little house with beer cans strewn about. It smells like beer, clearly, and it's just his dad. And he's like, hey, he's already drunk, right? And Mark does not want to engage, but he's like, oh, whatever, freaking, hi dad. So Mark's like, okay, you gotta stop drinking, I got rejected, whatever, just stop. And you know what the freaking dad says to him?
Didn't go too well, actually.
Oh yeah? She turned you down, little dick?
Stop.
She turned you down because of your little dick?
What?
You got a little dick, boy!
What are you talking about?
Remember when you were a kid and you were in the bath and I'd be like, ha, little dick?
Yeah, I know.
And then your mother would come in, God rest her soul, and go, yeah, he does have a little dick.
You ever thought that maybe there's a reason why you're alone, Dad?
Colleen Hoover? No one talks about this. I don't see anyone talking about this. This is straight up Colleen Hoover, is it not? We both laugh at our son's big balls. We both laugh at our son's small dick. Is this? And then the car crashes. So anyways, after that, Mark's like, Mom is literally dead. And he's like, yeah, cause I was drunk driving and you didn't stop me from killing your mom. And then he freaking punches his dad and his dad pulls out a taser. It's not important. I just need you to know. He's like, I freaking abuse you all the time. That's why you're so strong. We cut to the next scene. We get to see Clarissa. She's sobbing her eyes out to her best friend, Amanda. And Clarissa's like, I literally messed everything up. Like, what is wrong with me? I'm so stupid. And Amanda's like, hey, like, chill. And she gives this, I want to call it an amazing speech, but I don't think I can.
If you were shit, anyone would be lucky to have you inside their mouths.
But basically she's like, hey, you don't need him. Like, you're okay on your own. Then this... probably my favorite character comes on stage and he's like, hey, who made her cry? I'm gonna go kill him. I'm gonna go beat him up. And Amanda's like, what are you talking about? Who are you? This is Mr. Wilson, the owner of the pizza restaurant that they are in. And he's like, I literally raised you guys. I don't want anything bad to happen to you guys. And turns out this is Amanda's dad. Turns out Amanda has prosopagnosia, and yes, I do know what that word means. It's face blindness. I'm smart like that. And he's like talking about like their tiny little pizzas. Like I love him. He's my favorite.
I'm just saying, I've known you two since you were kids. You know, you always came into my restaurant and you were full of joy, huh? You were full of happiness in those faces of yours.
No.
I give you little pizzas.
They're basically talking. They're like, blah, blah, blah. Like, this is what happened. And then Amanda's like, I have a good idea. We are going to put on a DIY wedding. A do-it-yourself wedding. In this pizza restaurant. Who's with me? And Clarissa's like, Mark loves DIY.
You're gonna put on a wedding. A DIY wedding right here.
Yeah.
Mark loves DIY,
Amanda's like, what are you talking about?
and it'll be DIY themed.
It'll be
Like
DIY.
with spanners everywhere, and monkey wrenches, and like IKEA manuals.
Well, maybe. I'll leave it. That's
Well,
your
what the
choice.
fuck did you mean by DIY?
I mean, you do it yourself.
Mr. Wilson's like, yeah, I'll hook you guys up. I will make like a bajillion pizzas. Literally don't even worry your pretty little head about it. And this, after Mr. Wilson leaves, and Clarissa's like, oh my god, thank you. Like, you're literally amazing. We get some interesting dialogue.
We're gonna make this work, I promise. And if he turns you down, he doesn't know what he's missing.
You're such a good friend.
I think the other drunk British restaurant goers think there's something between us. That's silly. Silly.
We get to the next scene, and we get the second worst character. Father Petrova, or whatever his name is. Mark comes in, and he's like, hey, I need to talk to someone. I'm seeking guidance. My life is in shambles. The priest guy, Father Petrova, he's like, wow, I haven't seen you since your mom died.
Hey, Mucky boy, haven't seen you since your mother's.
Yeah.
And then we get introduced to Tim, like, I don't know the word, like priest in training. He's like, hey, actually, we just got someone in. I was going to talk to him. Actually, do you want to sit down and talk to him? You can sit down and talk to him. Tim and Mark sit down, and Mark is like, hey, what happens when someone you love deeply and who's a very good person keeps doing like kind of like messed up things? Do you forgive them or do you move on? Like what Tim says. If the other person refuses to change, do I change for them? No. Let them change themselves and meet you in your home. So basically, allow them to realize they've messed up, come to you, meet you where you're at, apologize, you can work it out from there. Meet you in your home is going to come up later. And so Mark's like, okay, alright, thank you. I think I'm gonna try giving Clarissa another chance. So we get a new scene. We get to see the mom in her little house. And Clarissa comes in. They're like, hey, what's going on? You're gonna get married? Like, I'm so proud of you. I'm so excited. And Clarissa's like, actually didn't go like that. I literally don't know what to do, Mom, please. we're gonna do our wedding. It's all gonna be good. She's like freaking out. The mom is kind of like, like, it's okay. Like, Mark's a good guy, I'm sure he'll forgive you. I need you to know in the background of this, Tom and AJ, we don't know their characters yet. They're kind of like wandering around. And finally, AJ's character interrupts to say,
Got all the dough.
I feel like I should try to stop you from stealing my best friend's mother's money.
Dough, pizza dough.
Making pizzas for the wedding.
Sorry,
I
Dad.
didn't just randomly steal some weird subplot.
I just, it's not important. It's my favorite. So, anyways, the important plot point is that Clarissa's mom gives her wedding ring, which used to be her grandma's. And she's like, this is really beautiful. Thank you, Mom. You did really amazing. And we get this impression that the mom is a very sweet, very caring, supportive figure in Clarissa's life. Amanda appears because she's broken into the house to give a secret invitation, and she's like, oh, you've already got that covered. Clarissa's like, look at this ring that my mom gave me. And then we get a knock at the door, and it's Mark. And he's like, Clarissa, are you here? And she's like, oh my god, hide the ring. And Amanda eats it. Mark comes in. He took the advice a little literally. He comes to Clarissa's home, but then he says, you need to apologize. After you apologize, we can get married. And everyone just kind of sits there like, what? Basically, Clarissa's like, well, I don't need to apologize because I literally answered a phone call from my dying mom. I don't know how much time I have left with her, and I did that, and I acknowledge that I did that, but also, it's not your place to judge me for that. It's very messy, and I do like that neither of them are completely right or wrong. It's very, like, it's very real. But the mom is like,
Honey, if you don't mind me saying, I think you're being a bit of a bitch.
through this conversation, the mom's like, hey, it was just a phone call. Like, he's not saying you have to focus on him all the time, just sometimes. Clarissa's like, no, like, you don't get it. He's like this. And this kind of recontextualizes something, because we don't get to see into their past. We don't get to see Mark and Clarissa together very much in the actual story, like, as a couple. Taking Clarissa at her word, and she seems very honest, she doesn't seem like a liar, and she says he's hot-headed, he gets like this sometimes. But given Mark's reaction, it also seems that Clarissa is like this a lot too, where she's very unfocused and easily distracted. Basically, they both have issues to work through, but neither are coming into each other's homes, neither are meeting each other where they're at and having an actual conversation about it, because that's hard, because both of them are like, well, I'm right, so neither one of them want to be the one to cave first and admit, yes, I was wrong, yes, I'm sorry. And that's a very human thing. It's a very funny play, and obviously whatever, improvised, whatever, but everything about it is very grounded. Well, not everything, but the human interactions are very grounded in reality, and I eat that up. Love that. So anyways, Mark is like, you made me feel small. And we know, Clarissa might not know, but we know that his dad treats him like that all the time. And it doesn't seem like Mark has that many friends, and he obviously doesn't have a rest of his family. He literally just lives with his dad, who is drunk all the time, blames him for his mom's death, and body shames him and treats him like crap, and physically abuses him by tasing him. So we know that this is a very sensitive issue to Mark. And so Mark says,
You know what? I hate you!
And he storms out of the house crying. To go back to his crappy dad. Everyone stands in shock. And this part isn't important, but
I don't know if you should bother with the dough anymore, Dad. You can come out from behind the curtain.
Got the fucking money.
Yeah.
So we cut to the next scene. The DIY wedding is completely set up. I imagine there's like DIY decorations everywhere. There's pizzas on every little table. I imagine it's candlelit with like little like lanterns hanging down. I imagine there's very beautiful, like warm ambiance. And Mr. Wilson is again the best character. He comes in, he's like, hey, look, I got everything set up. Clarissa still feels empty, and she's like, I didn't invite Mark, I need him to be here. And Mr. Wilson's like,
Yeah, I thought this was a real moment for you. You don't need a man. You know that song?
Sing it for me.
I don't need a man to make me feel good. I get up doing my thing.
and Clarissa's like, yeah, maybe you're right. And then the priests come in, and Tim's like,
We all make mistakes, and sometimes we come on hard-headed to try and protect ourselves when we feel vulnerable, and maybe we're aggressive or we're rude or we pull away from a big moment because we're scared. You can't just gloss over that and pretend, hey, I'm not in love, when you really are.
This solidifies for Clarissa that I do need Mark to be here. Clarissa calls Mark. She's like, pick up the phone. And finally Mark picks up the phone.
Mark, is that you?
Yeah, it's me. What do you want?
His voice, everything is, all the joy, it's just completely empty and devoid of any emotion. He's completely beaten down. Clarissa's like, I need to apologize for always putting you second, always distracting, always doing this and this and this. If you're willing to work on your anger issues, I'm willing to work on my attention issues. Do you want to work on this together? Do you still want to be together? And Mark's like, dude, I don't even know. I'm hanging out with my dad. And the dad gets on the phone and he's like, Clarissa, stop calling Mark. You're making him upset, and I hate when he is sad. And Clarissa gets pissed. She's like,
You're always making him sad, you piece of shit! Mark, you don't need your father. You need someone who loves you for who you are. Get your ass over to Wilson's Pizzeria now!
they're like, oh, isn't there like a wedding going on there? We saw pizzas and we assumed it was a wedding.
Who's getting married? Who's getting married?
I literally, the scene, I love that scene. I don't know what it is, but it gets me. It's so good. After the phone call ends, Clarissa's like, okay, we just gotta wait like a couple moments longer. Amanda comes to talk to her. She's like, hey, everything's gonna work out. It's all gonna be okay. And she kisses Clarissa's hand and puts the ring on her finger.
Clarissa, honey, it's okay.
Whoa! Oh! You put the ring on with your tongue!
And she's like, yep, and you're still marrying him. Clarissa's kind of like, what are you talking about? Because Mark has just come through the door. And so her eyes are on him. And basically, Amanda's kind of like throwing out this like last ditch effort for like, hey, by the way, you're like really attractive. We should like, you know, Clarissa's like, literally, I'm ignoring you. I'm trying to focus on Mark. This is my character arc, Amanda. Leave me alone.
But you still choose him, okay.
What?
No, I'm playing your heart, but it was a lust thing, so you just...
What?
It's just a lust
Stop
thing.
it, go away!
It's just we could have a threesome, I don't know.
Stop distracting me! I'm focused on the moment!
They come together, and Mark's kind of like, you did all this? Like, for me? And Clarissa's like, yeah, it's like Home Improvement.
It's themed like your favorite TV show, Home Improvement!
And they have their little DIY wedding. They don't even like read like anything. Clarissa's like, I'm putting the ring on his finger. And then Tim's like, okay, I'm gonna sing and you're gonna kiss and it's gonna be great. And then we get an interruption.
Stop that wedding!
And Clarissa's mom hobbles in on her little walker and she's like, you couldn't get married without your mom here by your side? I knew Mark was the one for you. I'm not long for the world, but I know you're gonna be safe in his hands. Like, that's so cute. And so then Tim's like, okay, well, we're gonna move on now.
Not sure you had to say stop that wedding. Stop that wedding! Hey, boy!
Mark's dad shows up and he's like, hey, I'm having a quick character arc here. I've realized I've been treating you like crap your whole life. And it's not your fault that your mom died. It was me. I haven't been showing you like any love or affection your entire life, and for that I do apologize. And I'm glad you finally found someone who can give you that. And also, I'm not gonna drink anymore. He's like, you live in my house, but ever since your mom died, it hasn't been a home, which is my favorite. Not exactly that line, but the distinction between a house and a home is like my favorite thing. It's kind of like found family, which I am a sucker for. And so he's like, and you can make a home with Clarissa. And he throws his beer to the floor. And then Tim's like, okay.
About him recycling.
Does anyone else have a
Stop that wedding!
It's Father Petrovsky. He does not get a character arc. He's just like, why are you marrying them? You're a kid. And it's not really important. Basically, do you take this person as your spouse?
Do you, Mark, take Suzanne/Clarissa to be your lawful wedded wife?
I do.
And they say, we do.
And do you, Clarissa/Suzanne, take Mark to be your lawful wedded husband?
I do!
And then they kiss.
And then, in slow motion, you may now kiss each other.
And they're married. And the play ends. So that was lovely, right? But what about Amanda? Amanda doesn't really get a conclusion. Her character is there to serve Clarissa. She's the supportive friend. But she's also deeply in love with Clarissa. And at the wedding, she tries to kind of play it off. You can take her at her word, but it doesn't feel like she's telling the complete truth. It sounds like she's trying to kind of play it off. And it's improv, right? Oh, you're reading too much into it. But, you know, I love Mark and Clarissa together. I love the arc of Clarissa's DIY wedding. I love them coming together and blah, blah, blah. But also, we're only like probably halfway through the video, right? AO3, also known as Archive of Our Own, is a website that is used primarily for fanfiction. And wouldn't you know it, there's a fanfiction for Clarissa's DIY wedding called Clarissa's DIY Disaster. I found out about it through the YouTube comments. I don't remember on which video, if it was Clarissa's DIY wedding, but I remember having seen it and I was like, yes. I'm reading that immediately. And then I didn't read it immediately. I bookmarked it and forgot about it. And then sometime in December, I started reading it and I was hooked. So that's what the rest of this video is about. This is why I need to talk about it. Clarissa's DIY wedding. Clarissa's DIY Disaster is a fic on AO3 by Temple to Destruction, which is another shoot from the hip reference.
My body is a temple to destruction!
And it's literally, I'm not kidding, one of the best things I've ever read, ever. And there's a lot of books that I really like. I don't know how to explain it, but there's something about this fic, the way it's written, and then like the storyline and stuff too, but the writing style is what really hooks me. So when I say it's like the best thing ever, I'm only very slightly exaggerating. I highly recommend you read it. But before we talk about the fic, I gotta give a little bit of background because it includes quite a couple of references and cameos to other shows. For a bit of background, sorry about my nan. It's kind of hard to put into simple words. It's about a bachelor party gone wrong because it was hijacked by the groom's grandma, Ethel. Jim's the one getting married and his nan pretty much sends him and his best buddy Jamie on like a drug-induced hallucination trip to solve their problems. It's not super duper important, but basically Jamie and Jim kind of have a lot of chemistry because there's this scene where Jamie's kind of like, your fiance is not the one for you, and everyone, and myself included, was like, Jamie's in love with Jim. No, it turns out it was like this whole other thing, and everyone was like, oh my god, it's Clarissa's DIY wedding but gay men instead. How did they keep doing this? And so that comes into play later. Keep in mind Ethel as well. The second play that you'll need to be familiar with is The Unrelenting Aubergine. Basically, these two farmer brothers are like, hey, one farmer brother, James, is kind of like, my side of land is not growing. And he goes to this witch lady called Marjorie and is like, hey, can you give me like spell stuff to swap the lands and I'm gonna be better? And it's like this whole thing about basically like James doesn't even want to be there. Meanwhile, Titch is having kind of like a side plot with his lover Derek. They end up getting together by the end. James goes on to do professional football, UK football, American soccer, I should just specify. And Titch and Derek take over the farm and grow eggplants or aubergines if you are in the UK. So just keep both of those stories and characters in mind because they will be relevant later. There's a lot of other cameos as well, but they're not super important, so I'm gonna skip over them for the most part. Otherwise, hey, it's time for the disaster. Chapter 1 opens up with Clarissa staring down at a pregnancy test. She calls her mom for like advice, and the mom's like, oh my god, like, are you happy? Like, this is great. Clarissa's just kind of thinking to herself like, I don't know. But she knows that she won't get an abortion. It just wasn't what a girl in her position did. Other women had the option to do whatever they wanted as far as she was concerned. She just wasn't other women. She was just Clarissa, and this was how things had panned out. The mom asks why Clarissa's calling her and not Mark, and how Mark will be there for her when the mom dies, and Clarissa's like, Mom, stop. You're literally fine. You've been saying this for years. They're just talking about Clarissa's dad, how he died due to alcoholism and how he was just an awful person. Clarissa's like, plenty of men suck, Mom, and Dad was one of those men. Okay, I'm sorry. Maybe it's just the pregnancy hormones. And the mom, she says, maybe. Or you might just be a bitch, darling. Lots of women are. I recently got into feminism. Lots of good books. Okay, Mom. You ever heard of Audre Lorde? Crazy stuff. A lesbian. Okay, Mom. I'm gonna go now. Isn't your friend Amanda a lesbian? Clarissa's just kind of like, I don't know. I never asked. It felt personal. This is also when we find out that Amanda's parents are divorced. I can like a woman and judge her marital collapse. 2 children and she still couldn't keep her shit together for the sake of them. Parents like that would have a daughter who likes other fathers' daughters. It's 2023, Clarissa. People sin with every breath they take. Nothing she says seems to come from a place of malice, but it's still harmful. Clarissa, just for the sake of keeping the peace, is like, okay, I'm not gonna argue. Just don't tell Mark about this. I'm gonna tell him myself. And she hangs up. She sits for a moment and she's like, I'm gonna get on a plane. She gets on a flight to the UK. We shift POVs to Amanda. She's getting a 3-way call with Clarissa's mom and Mark. And this is where, because it mentions the mom's name being Margaret or Maggie. And I was like, well, that's not her name.
Hello? How are you, Petunia?
But when they get on the call, Mark calls her Petunia. And the mom's like, that's my middle name. Please don't call me my middle name. But anyways, the mom basically, she's pregnant. She said not to tell you, but don't tell her that I told you. And it kind of sends both parties into shock. And Amanda's like, where even is she right now? And she has a tracking device on Clarissa. Like they have like Find My Phone or whatever. So she checks her phone and Clarissa is out in Somerset. Amanda knew one thing above all else. We have to follow her. Mark scoffed. We? Amanda. She's carrying my child. This is my responsibility. I'm the one with the tracking device. I have her safety and happiness in mind just as much as you do, if not more. She decided not to say that part aloud. Whilst his brain was already attached to the baby, Amanda was looking out for one thing and one thing only, and that was the girl she loved. And thus begins. I knew exactly where this was going because obviously I read the synopsis, but I got to that part in the story and I was losing my shit. I was so excited. In chapter 2, Clarissa lands in Somerset and arrives at a farm that she's been to previously because Clarissa is a traveling journalist and she goes around and interviews a bunch of people with interesting stories, which is where we get a lot of cameos, which every time I was like, oh, I know you! We get to talking with Derek and Titch, and it comes out that they're engaged. They're gonna get married in October. And there's a really nice bit of ring symbolism here. The ring was nice, fancier than Clarissa's engagement ring, that much was certain. She'd insisted on paying for one herself after the wedding. Perhaps gay men were just fancier, or she was an exception. Why had she chosen a dull ring? I know, it's obvious, but how Titch and Derek are so very in love, and they have a really nice ring to symbolize that. The next day, and I know I'm skipping over a lot, I don't want to recap every little detail. She stays overnight, and the next day she meets up with Marjorie, who's nearby, which I love everything that comes out of her mouth. She asks Marjorie for advice, with her pregnancy and the marriage, and Marjorie's like, you're all alone, go find someone for support. And she was off to Bristol. We cut to an airplane ride with Amanda and Mark. Amanda has a lot of time to think back on 6 years of shame and unspoken sexuality. And she remembers the first time that she met Mark back at Clarissa's 18th birthday party, and there was instant dislike on both sides. No matter how much Amanda doesn't want to resent Mark, she does. She put it down to lust. Lust was a disease that rotted you from the inside out. She must recover, otherwise every time she looked at her friend, she was violating her. It was harder to hate Mark if he was pure, and she was the burden. Except she loved her. Every morning she woke up loving her. And if loving her meant letting her be happy, she'd pay for her husband to travel halfway across the world to romantically reunite with her and begin a family together. Loving her was a privilege, a sacrifice, and all Amanda knew. Do you see why I love this fic? It's so good! Again, I can't include every bit of writing that I love, but I really like the bringing up of lust, because during Clarissa's DIY wedding, it's okay, so you love your best friend, but then at the end she's like, it's just a lust thing, it's just a lust thing. And so recontextualizing it as she has to tell herself it's just lust to cope with it, and The plane lands, and turns out Clarissa's not in Somerset, she's moving north. Amanda wants to be like, okay, we gotta plan this out, we gotta have a strategy. We don't know where she's going, we just gotta wait for a minute. And they agree to spend the night in a hotel. Chapter 3 is one of my most favorite chapters. As Clarissa is getting off of a bus, she's grabbed and whisked away into a car. And here we meet Ethel, one of my other favorite characters. She keeps like speeding along the road, like they're getting faster and faster. And Ethel shoots her up with adrenaline. All of a sudden, they enter a tunnel and it goes pitch black. And then all of a sudden, Clarissa's alone. And the car is gone. And then there's a spotlight in an empty room. Empty except for Amanda and Mark, bound and gagged on the wall. Mark's head is slowly being encompassed by like a mini Iron Maiden. And Amanda's just pinned to the wall. Favoritism. There are 2 buttons in front of Clarissa. One to save Mark, and one to save Amanda. Amanda's blinking Morse code. Choose Mark. And Clarissa's like, why am I the one stuck in the trolley problem right now? Theoretically, this is a morally easy choice. Having been given the pass to do so, she could save Mark, letting Amanda go. It was typical Amanda to be willing to go the extra mile for her. It didn't sit right with her, though, that her repayment for so much extra burden would be to die for her. Amanda deserved better. Then there was Mark, who had spent his whole life feeling inadequate, who ate with her, slept with her, lived with her, who wanted a child to fit both his father's standards for him and break the abusive cycles he'd been raised into, who, despite that, hadn't really recovered from the abuse himself enough to not partially repeat it, who she knew had so much more growth left in him and a heart big enough to be willing to do so. They were intelligent, kind, capable people who tell her they loved her as much as she wanted to hear it. Clarissa can't bring herself to just push the button to save Mark, so she's like, okay, whatever, I will close my eyes and just push both the buttons at the same time. But there's a millisecond difference, and she saves Amanda. She makes eye contact with Mark, and he spits out his gag. I don't regret it, he told her, but I wouldn't want any more of it. I love you, Mark. I'm sorry. I'm not. And he dies! It's very gruesome. Everything fades away, and Clarissa wakes up back in the car to a very joyful Ethel. After that experience, she's still like reeling from it too. She arrives at a garden party for Jim and Julie. Jim's like, oh my god, I'm so sorry for whatever that woman put you through. She wasn't even invited. She asks, well, why does Ethel do this? Jim shook his head, his eyes refocusing on Clarissa. Do you ever feel like you've missed something really obvious? But after all said and done, they do let her sleep in their guest bedroom. They're like, it's really the least we can do after whatever Ethel did to you. Cutting back to Amanda and Mark, they're in a hotel room. They're going through a map of like, okay, here's where Clarissa's been, here are all the places she might go to, and she'll probably follow like this route. It's raining right now, so they're kind of just stuck in the hotel room. They're kind of like, okay, let's just freaking drink alcohol and ask each other questions. It's like truth or dare, but it's just truth and we're drinking. Alcohol is still a bit of a touchy subject. Mark only drinks every now and again, but he does agree. So Mark's like, okay, are you a lesbian? She's like, yeah. And she's like, do you love Clarissa? And Mark's like, yeah, obviously. And she's like, but do you like Clarissa? And he doesn't answer. Mark asks Amanda what her favorite thing about Clarissa is. She says it's her laugh. Mark kind of is like insecure, thinking that she's going to say something like really niche that he hadn't even heard or known about. Mark thinks Clarissa hates him, but won't elaborate. They get more drunk and they ask more questions and they go to sleep. And though resentment lingers, they become more human to each other. Chapter 4 opens up with Clarissa on a train ride and she's very flustered by this beautiful woman. She's like, I'm not like a lesbian. Like, she has feelings for men in some sort of capacity. And even though Mark can be a lot sometimes, she feels like a sort of obligation to him because that's what romance is. She gets off the train and she's kind of just walking around aimlessly with no goal. She just needs to be out. And she runs into this really nice mother who's like, oh my god, like you're like a lost little American, you can come live in my house. Throughout the entire story, but I think it's especially apparent here, Clarissa gets to experience many different family dynamics. Some people are cheating, some people are gay, some people are married, some people are divorced, some people are dead. But in this case, the woman is living with a man she left her husband for, and she's a lot happier because of it. She says, in my case, there was the man I loved and the man I married, and I desperately wanted those two men to morph into one, except they just couldn't. She texts Amanda the next morning. She's like, okay, you gotta meet me somewhere, but don't tell Mark. And Amanda's like, okay, see you then. So Amanda and Mark are on a train, and Amanda had gotten a glimpse into Mark's suitcase, and she's like, Mark, why did you pack condoms and not toothpaste? And he's like, I wasn't thinking straight, like, it's a lot right now. And here comes one of my most favorite parts in the story. It's the mouse story. I remember being 9 years old, not too long after my mom died. Our cat Cosmo dragged in a mouse, tiny baby mouse. During the night I heard it squeaking at the top of its lungs. So I got this old shoebox, poked holes in it, and managed to wrangle the mouse into it. It squeaked so much and I felt awful but proud of myself at the same time. Thing is, it was too late to go talk to my dad since he'd be mad I was awake at all. So I kept the shoebox with the mouse in my room all night. I thought it was my roommate. The next morning, I told my dad about the mouse. I called it Vivian because that was my mom's middle name. She always said if I had a sister, she'd be called Vivian. And my dad opened the shoebox and got rid of her out into the garden. Except Vivian just stayed still. Dad watched her for a minute, picked her up, and tapped her very gently. And then he turned around to me and said, Mark, it died during the night. Probably a heart attack or something. Not because you picked it up, most likely. Just the circle of life. I used to think about that all the time when I couldn't speak up. It was like I'd finally gotten the chance to save something weak, like I couldn't do for my mom. And then it was taken from the world, simply because it was small and vulnerable. It's a circle of life, isn't it? God sends us obstacles so we can prove our devotion and strength of character. One day we'll be rewarded. This mouse, though, made me doubt it just for a second. More than my mom made me question him. Because my mom's death was a punishment for my dad driving drunk, or as he said, for me not stopping him. But what had a mouse done worth punishing? What had I done? Amanda found her eyes dry and shiny, a blink away from watering. Then why did you keep holding on to your belief? If I didn't, there was nobody else. No God meant I was alone. No mom watching over me in heaven. No chance of my dad recovering and being there for me. No goodwill being paid off through my prayers. And eventually my prayers were answered. I got Clarissa, and my father started his journey towards sobriety, and we even have a little one on the way. Except since the pregnancy, I've been doubting my framing of my entire life. Which bit? If my prayers were really answered at all. There's nothing else I can add to that, just the mouse story. It messes me up every time I read it. In chapter 5, Clarissa is looking through old photos on her phone and tells a story that also messes me up every time I read it. She's thinking about the one time past the age of 10 she believed her father would be proud of her, during her first time in a musical at 16. She wrote 4 of the songs by herself, and she was one of the 3 leads. Dude, sorry for whatever the hell that audio is. It sounded like I recorded in the rain. But here's an excerpt from the passage I was trying to read you. When the show was done, she met them in the parking lot. Her mom had hugged her, told her, no, it actually was good, with actually being the operative word. Her dad looked down at her with a grin. Stone cold sober, he said, I really liked it, Clary. It made me get a bit misty-eyed, if I'm honest. You can write and sing, really. And her dad couldn't stop talking about it to like all of his friends. He had friends in good places like the publishing industry, and that's how Clarissa got her job as a traveling journalist. Later that morning, though, Clarissa and Amanda meet up. Clarissa goes on and on about how crazy everything's been, and she tells Amanda she can't imagine a life without her. She tells Amanda that she loves her, but Amanda takes a step back. Clarissa's like, you don't have to say it back, and Amanda says she's scared Clarissa won't love her anymore if she says it. Because if Clarissa saw what Amanda saw, she would hate herself. And Clarissa's like, Amanda, I know you're a lesbian, it's fine. And they talk about women and men and Mark, and Clarissa admits out loud that she hopes she loves him, which is really sad. It's just really good at like highlighting like the undying and undeniable love between Amanda and Clarissa, and then the just obligatory love that Clarissa has for Mark, and even to an extent that Mark has for Clarissa. Amanda kisses Clarissa's knuckles, something they used to do all the time, but haven't really done since the wedding. But Clarissa pulls away, and Amanda is like, you go to Scotland, go to Folkestone, and be ready by then to tell Mark everything you need to tell him, okay? See you then. And she leaves. Over on in chapter 6, we get a flashback to 2017 in a hospital visit with Clarissa's dad. His memory is completely deteriorated due to severe alcohol abuse, and he's just kind of a shell of himself. The father she'd hated was dead. The father she'd loved was dead. This thing was meat and bones, clinging on to what mortality he had left. It was pathetic, pitiable, and provoked a deep anger in her. Anger that she'd never get to hug or confront her real father. That her real father had randomly left one day without warning or goodbye, and left this husk in his skin. He asks about his daughter Clarissa, like, how old is she? Does she have a boyfriend or a husband? And she's like, no, she's not dating or married right now. And dad confesses that he's worried that she's a lesbian because of her friendship with Amanda. We find out in the next chapter that the dad died the very next day. To have that be basically your dad's dying words to you kind of messes you up, I would assume. But Clarissa's like, yeah, no, she's not a lesbian, and she leaves. Present day, April 1st. We have like a little side plot of Clarissa wondering if she's wasting her life away when she should be living it to its fullest. And she's in Folkestone now. And she visits the family of a dad and son she'd done an article on 4 years ago after the wife/mom killed herself, despite having lived such a fulfilling life. She had awards and a loving husband and a loving son. And here we get a mini arc of Clarissa being like, if I died today, what stories would people tell about me? She talks about how her mom would tell a story about when she was a toddler, how her teachers would talk about how she was such a good student, and Mark would collect money from a bunch of different people and like pool it all into the donation. And she says Amanda would be the actual biggest donation, except she'd do it anonymously with some vague message alongside, like, for you, because you were silly enough to leave. Since she was tech aware, Maggie would put her in charge of the webpage, and Amanda would waste hours reading messages and stalking their writers' Instagram pages, searching for any trace of Clarissa she'd missed in her own life. The next morning, the dad and son are going on a hike. They hike every year to the cliff where Marie Claire jumped, and Clarissa's like, yeah, I'm coming with you. As they're nearing the top, she falls and hurts her ankle, and they're like, hey, just wait it out, we'll go to the top and we'll be right back, just give us 20 minutes, and Clarissa's like, no, I'm going. I've started and I'm gonna finish. Clarissa, you're 23. Your life's not ended. You don't give up because you've had a hard time. You keep going so that the hard times are blemishes, mistakes to learn from. I've had awful times, with and without my wife. And all I can tell you is that sticking with something that isn't going to fulfill you is the same as giving up. It would be a waste of the rest of your life, and you'll spend the next 60 years regretting it. There's always another mountain. There isn't another lifetime. Sometimes you're mentally ill and you read something and you're like, this is changing my life. So Clarissa's like, okay, I will wait here. For one moment, she needed to just stare at the cliff edge, focus on it, and decide not to take a step towards it. She needed to want to live. She needed to want to live for herself. I don't know, just throughout the whole thing, there's a lot of, is it worth it? Should I give up, or should I take that big step toward happiness? Throughout the story, you see this time and time again that the characters have to make that choice. Because if you take this big step now, you will be around to appreciate it later on. So chapter 7 opens up with Mark's POV, and it's a lot of a lighter topic. He's thinking about the party with the boys and the party with the girls. He's reminiscing on their first meeting, where Mark for once was just enjoying the party and getting drunk, but Clarissa is sober, and they see each other across the way, and they like lock eyes. He notices that in her hands is like this ball of string that she keeps like fiddling with, and Mark just notes that something about her is different. They approach each other and they get to talking. He's trying to make like a good impression, but he's like embarrassed. He's like, oh my god, I'm drunk. I'm gonna end up just like my dad. But Clarissa's this like beautiful, sweet, perfect Catholic woman, and he's like, I gotta get with this woman because my mom would have wanted me to. I gotta get with this woman because my dad doesn't believe in me. Even if like some of his feelings are genuine, he's still, at least in part, pursuing this relationship because of his parents. Back then, she was like the perfect woman because he's projecting his expectations and ideas onto her. But in present day, he and Amanda are meeting up with the man that Clarissa was staying with. The guy is like, she said she's taking a walk. She did leave her wedding ring behind. It was like on the bathroom sink or whatever. Mark is just like itching to get out of here. He's itching to take this ring, grab Clarissa, get back to the US. Everything can be okay. He's just like losing control.
Okay, I did a really bad job of explaining it in the original recording, but basically Mark, to calm himself down, asks Amanda about the ball of string that Clarissa had in their first meeting. And Amanda explains that her mom used to knit all the time, and so when she met Clarissa's mom, who had also just recently given birth, she knitted her a teddy bear, and Clarissa would bring it around with her all the time as like a stress toy.
And because of how much she fiddled with him and how old he was, he started falling apart. And Amanda's like, yeah, so when you guys met, she probably just wanted to focus on you, so she was like messing with it. And Mark's like, well, she put the string away. And Amanda's like, you must have had her attention then. They find Clarissa sitting on a bench by a corner store, and Amanda hangs around before just turning around and leaving. Mark and Clarissa, it's framed very much like a romantic movie, a romantic reunion, but the way it's written is very unromantic. I don't know how to describe it. everything is just kind of off. So they kiss, and the POV changes to Clarissa. Mark tries to give her the ring back, and he tries to like put it on her finger. She kind of like jerks away, and she's like, oh, the pregnancy is like making my fingers swell, so I didn't mean to leave it. And they can't really hold each other's gaze, so they just start walking. After a while, Mark just looks at her and he's like, so you don't want the baby? And Clarissa's like, neither of us are in a good place for it right now. And Mark's like, if we do have it though, like if it's a girl, we can name it after my mom. And if it's a boy, we can name it after your dad. So Clarissa's like, no, dude, I hate my dad. They're both sticking to each other for their parents more than anything else. They love each other, but it's not enough. As they're on the plane back home, Clarissa's kind of like, oh my god, I can give this child to Titch and Derek if they're up for it. So they get back to their houses. Clarissa collapses onto the couch and Mark just starts pacing. And then all of a sudden, Mark is like, we should have sex later today. And that's how chapter 7 ends. Now to pause here for a minute. You might be thinking, as I was, I thought it was going to end when they reunited, but we're only on chapter almost 8 now. And there's 26 chapters in this. What is going on?
Well, I don't know what's going on because there are 16 chapters, not 26. I don't know how to count.
You'll have to find out. So, chapter 8, Mark's like, we can have sex to like work out our frustrations and bring forward our pent-up emotions. And they just kind of like put it off for the time being. Mark will be like, is now a good time? And Clarissa's like, not right now. I'm literally exhausted. I have jet lag, dude. Chill. They do finally have sex, and it's not like graphic, but what is described is very almost clinical. It's very emotionally detached, and Clarissa has to like disassociate and like play around in her mind to come.
After all that, it becomes apparent that Clarissa and Mark are walking on eggshells around each other. The trip to the UK really highlighted the instabilities in their relationship. And Clarissa texts Amanda about this, and Amanda invites her over for coffee. While there, Amanda opens up about having had a girlfriend for a little bit who had relished in her newness to queer relationships, but who Amanda loved for that attention and for the freedom to be openly queer.
However, 4.5 months into the relationship, it is brought up that the girlfriend is poly, and it's not really mentioned in the story, but I do just want to mention here that polyamory can and does work very well. You just have to be ethical. Don't do what this woman did. Don't date someone and then be like, oh yeah, by the way, I'm poly. Hope that's fine. All polyamory is communication. Amanda is monogamous, however, and the girlfriend tried pressuring her into it. Like from there, a lot more things start popping up. I said not to give me hickeys because my job needed me to look professional and it was summer. At first she agreed, saying I could give them to her. When I asked to clarify how to do all this with the girl, she demonstrated it on me. She started laughing. I didn't know why. Eventually I realized she'd left marks. I remember her saying, wow, I didn't expect it to be that purple. I didn't like the emphasis. It meant the mark in itself was intentional. But I laughed along with her, made a joke, didn't know what else I could do. Anyway, I broke it off after she had sex with 2 of her friends on her birthday. I'd literally seen her on that day. She didn't even think to invite me. It was fucking embarrassing, you know? Having my friends joke to me the next morning about all the things they'd done with Matilda. My first actual relationship at 20 years old, and I'd been so awful at it that she chose literally anyone else over me.
Amanda says she never really had the confidence to tell Clarissa before, but that she's telling her now because she wants her to know that relationships are and will always be messy. And Clarissa says that she's mad because she had noticed back then that Amanda was acting off, but figured that anything worth worrying about, Amanda would tell her herself. And she basically says, it's just you and me like it always has been. And Amanda takes Clarissa's hand and kisses it. And this time it's a lot easier. Things between them are getting better.
Amanda's like, Clarissa, you need to talk to Mark. And Clarissa says, if things don't work out, can I stay with you?
And Amanda says, of course.
So, chapter 9, it's evening, and Mark's in the backyard bird watching.
Clarissa comes out
and Clarissa's like, I don't feel important to your future. I feel like I'm just tacked on after the fact, just to have a wife. She's always gone along with the idea that Mark has of her in his head, but she isn't who he wants, nor who her mom wants, and that Mark isn't who he thinks he is either. That they're more than their expectations of themselves. She just needs out of it. She says maybe they'll make for good partners one day, and maybe Mark could be a good parent, but she won't be. And this is when she brings up to Mark, Titch, and Derek. And Mark does not take the news well because he can feel her slipping away. So he says, "You're giving my baby to a couple of gay motherfuckers in Somerset? What am I meant to say, Mark, about your baby? That you love it, that it's a miracle, a gift. You'd be happy if it had your eyes and my smile? I don't know, Suzanne. It's something nice. I've never hidden that I want kids. Sure, we didn't say it, but we didn't need to. Clearly, you need more things to be spelt out. Whatever, that's fine. I can tell you every thought that enters my fucking head if that makes you happy. Sometimes I wish you fucked more. Sometimes I think you're a bitch, and sometimes I think you'd be happier with Amanda. Is that what you want? To hear that I want a dog, and I want 3 kids, and I want what my parents used to have? I can shout it from the rooftops if it makes you happy. Who cares if I want things? Who cares if I want things I might not deserve?" The whole world is quiet then. Clarissa places a hand on his knee and tells him, "I can't give you what you want." Never. Never. It wouldn't be fair on either of us. She talks about her trolley problem with Ethel, about how he died, and how he told her he wouldn't regret it but wouldn't want any more of it. This all ties back into taking that step forward to be happy. The hardest part about this, though, is that Clarissa does still love Mark. Mark admits that a part of himself wants Clarissa to suffer for this choice, and he's scared that her suffering would bring him pleasure. And he tells her, "I know you said I'm not my father, but I'm his son. Most of me is a remnant of his self-hatred. Yet you're still gentle. You want to be. Somebody said the last stage of grief is acceptance. I've accepted my mom is dead, Clarissa. Have you accepted that you're still alive?" He narrowed his eyes at her. "Have you?" "I'm trying to. So am I." As evening turns into night, it dawns on Mark there are so many lasts he never realized, that there will be no more going to sleep together and waking up beside one another, never kissing her, never holding her, that maybe that'll be okay. Chapter 10 opens up with Rich and Derek. It's April 9th, Easter. It's not super important. But what is important is that as they're getting into the car to head out to the church, they run into Marjorie, and she says something like very vague about like a child. No one catches on, and they're like, "Go away, Marjorie." When they return home, they get a phone call from Clarissa, and she's like, "Hey, how do you feel about adopting a kid?" And they're like, "Can we get time to think about that?" But it's not a no. The topic of adoption is very important to Titch because he was adopted after a while in foster care, which I thought was made up for the story until I went and rewatched The Unrelenting Aubergine.
I think I've always envied you, you know, me being the adopted son with this West Country accent, and you being the handsome Irish.
I was like, oh my god, it wasn't made up for the story. It's canon. So they make a plan for Clarissa to come in a couple of weeks to discuss adoption and basically screen them as like good parent. And in Clarissa's perspective, she's reflecting on the changes in her life as of late, well, with moving in with Amanda and now discussing the possibility of her child living with 2 virtual strangers across the world. Night approaches and Clarissa's like, "Let me take the couch, like I can't take your bed, like that's so rude." And Amanda's like, "You're literally pregnant. We'll just share the bed, dude. It's no big deal. We used to do this all the time when we were younger." A week later, Clarissa's mom invites her for lunch and tea. So Clarissa finally brings up the topic of adoption and divorce. Her mom says, "Your dad would be so disappointed." And Clarissa just bursts into tears. She's like, "I know, I'm so sorry. I've done all I can over my whole life to make you guys proud of me, to be worthy of your guys' love. And I'm so sorry that I couldn't try harder, but I think it would have killed me." And the mom hugs her for a very long while. And she says, "As long as you believe it's okay, then it will be okay." I don't know. It's a longer scene than I'm making it out to be. Again, I don't want to just rehash the whole story. You know, you gotta read it for yourself. It's really good and definitely worth it. In Mark's POV, he's also taking a step forward by going to therapy for the first time ever. He has all these expectations that keep getting proved wrong. And funnily enough, the therapist uses her middle name. And Mark's like, "I like middle names." And Mark leaves his first therapy appointment feeling a bit overwhelmed, but also comforted. In chapter 12, it's been some more time, and they take a plane ride to Somerset to get to Titch and Derek's farm. Amanda leaves the parents to talk and decides to just walk around the farmland, and she runs into a very familiar face. Well, okay, actually, that was unintentional. Amanda does have face blindness, and it's specifically brought up in this scene that this character looks very generic. A familiar face to me, the reader, Jamie, Jim's best buddy. Basically, she kind of like interrogates him, like, what are you up to? And he's like, I'm just gonna go see Marjorie. She's like, I definitely know who that is. Through some more interrogation, she finds out that Jamie is getting drugs from Marjorie to forget about Jim for 24 hours. We have more of the connections between the two stories of like the gay best friend watching the best friend get married and doing all that you can to push it out of your mind. And Amanda tells him it's a really bad coping mechanism, and he's like, well, like, literally whatever, I don't even know you, and he leaves. We cut back to Clarissa's POV, and she's talking to Titch about religion and being gay, and we get like a little flashback of the first time James, Titch's brother, realized that Titch was gay. He like walked in on them, and Titch like swore him to secrecy, though he did eventually come out to his parents on his own time. However, the relationship Titch had with the boy was ruined after that. Clarissa raised an eyebrow. It reminded her of Matilda and Amanda in a strange way. Maybe it was just the quintessential queer experience to be so afraid of being discovered that they are only ever left disappointed or violated. She was relieved to have avoided it, not that it was within the realm of possibility, but every time she had it described to her, she couldn't quite quiet the voice in her head telling her that this was a story she knew. So once again we have Clarissa being like, me? Queer? No. I can never. After Derek and Mark come back from their tour, Derek announces moving the wedding up to August rather than October to make sure the timing is good for the pregnancy and adoption. In chapter 13, we get a time skip to the wedding, but bad news, all the drinks have been spiked with truth serum due to a mishap with Marjorie and Ethel. Things are already starting to go downhill between the sorry about my nan group, all kind of being like, yeah, maybe I am in love with you, and yeah, maybe this marriage was a mistake, and like all this stuff. Our main group get the news, and during this, Clarissa is sharing shocking news to the readers. She's thinking to herself about a hookup with an old friend from high school after the suggestion to get back into dating again, but finding nothing by dating men. She ran into this old friend shopping, and they were both like, yeah, I'm also like newly single, and all of a sudden they're like hooking up, and they're like, whoa, that's crazy, bye. And so, Clarissa has yet to share this with anyone, so she's just like, woo, hopefully that doesn't slip out. They're like sitting in the aisles waiting now, and Mark gets off a phone call and he comes to sit down. He admits that he got a referral for a borderline personality test, or BPD, and Clarissa is really proud of him for that, and she tells him as much. And I want to take a moment here before continuing. To have Mark have borderline personality disorder is really interesting, I think. And it really, really helps put into perspective everything we know about Mark. His tendency to switch very quickly to anger when a perceived threat happens, or when his expectations aren't met, or he feels like someone's slipping away from him. From what research I have done, it does make a lot of sense, and it's expanded upon in the actual fic as well. Obviously, BPD, from what I know, BPD can also include very strong self-esteem issues and insecurities, and we can see that when Mark is talking about how he feels like Clarissa hates him, though he can't really explain why, or how he always feels inferior to Amanda, or how he feels that he's very broken and he idolizes Clarissa, and then every time she slips up, that image of her in his mind is broken and he lashes out. Just a lot of stuff like that. And I just think that's really, really interesting, because BPD is a very, very, very stigmatized and villainized disorder. It does bring to mind Sarah Zed's video, The Narcissist Scare.
Funnily enough, the day I recorded that, there was a video put out by YouTuber Melon Media that I also really highly recommend. It's called Walking the Line, and it's an in-depth look into BPD through a bunch of different characters. So both of these will be linked in the description.
But it's so misconstrued. And so to have Mark have BPD is really, really interesting to me, and very they don't villainize him for it. Never throughout the story are they like, God, you're always evil and angry and you're gonna kill me and you're this and you have no feelings. It's very humanized in the story, and I really, really appreciate that. And I think that's really interesting. And again, to have to admit, hey, they think I have borderline, and yes, I do think we're on the right track here. That takes a lot of strength, and no one judges him for it. They outright say, I'm proud of you. It's just really touching. I can't really put it into words, but it's really sweet. So anyways, the wedding happens. It's really cute. Clarissa and Amanda book a B&B together, and this is when Clarissa opens up to Amanda about having slept with another woman and how she's like kind of a bit confused and maybe going through a sexuality crisis. And Amanda's like, hey, label or no label, you'll figure things out with time. Which I, again, think is very important to be like, hey, you can have a label or you can not have a label. It's whatever you're comfortable with. And you don't have to figure it out right now either. Like, you can take the time to just sit with it. And I, again, really like, because, spoiler alert, even by the end of the story, we don't get confirmation on Clarissa's identity. I do really like that. We have a character who likes the label, and then we have a character who doesn't have one, maybe not now, maybe not ever. And I just think that's nice. So, chapter 14 is another time skip. Clarissa stays in the UK until October. It's been a long while, like every day is slow. And then all of a sudden, she starts having contractions, and Amanda and Mark and her mom are all still in the US. So it's a big panic moment. They finally land in the UK and they start speeding to the hospital, but there are only 2 guests allowed in the room, and the mom's like, I will leave, you 2 deserve to be there. And which is like a big thing for the mom, because throughout the story, she's characterized as being very agoraphobic. She literally just kind of stays in the house and almost rots away in there. Like after her husband died and then her daughter moved out, she's just in the house. And we get to see like the differences between Maggie and Clarissa, where Maggie stayed in an unhappy, abusive marriage, and now we see Clarissa breaking that cycle and, you know, divorcing Mark and giving up her child and all that stuff. But yeah, anyways, Maggie leaves and stays in a hotel room for the night. Mark and Amanda take their spots on either side of Clarissa, and 2 hours later, the baby girl is born. Everything is calm, Mark's asleep in a chair, and Amanda and Clarissa are quietly talking. Amanda finally takes a chance to say what's always gone unsaid. I love you. The delivery was far from perfect, so Clarissa just took the words as they were. Honest. I know. What do we do now? Amanda said. I guess what we've always done. Be what? Us. The delivery was painful. Clarissa thought it was perfect. In the next chapter, Clarissa's talking with Titch about the future and parenting. You know, Titch is like, raising a girl will definitely be different, huh? Clarissa's like, well, it's not that different, right? And Titch says, but society is different, isn't it? She considered herself, her mother and Amanda, all the women she'd met, every single one, a whole person, a prisoner of suburban mundanity, punished for wanting more. It's a very, like, is it cheesy to call it empowering? It's just a very, like, breaking away from society's expectations of what a woman is in womanhood. Anyways, this little baby, Mark decides he is naming it after his mother. Not Vivian, like the mouse, but Aisling, her first name. She'd only have the name of a woman who never got the chance to live the life she deserved, a name she could make whatever she wanted of it. So 5 whole weeks later, we're back in the US, and Clarissa and Amanda are watching Wicked on Broadway. During intermission, they're talking about queerness, and it leads to Amanda confessing her jealousy of Clarissa's marriage, and how she kind of wanted to be like, marry me, not him. And Clarissa says, I wouldn't have married you, even if you'd asked. I wasn't ready to see you. When did you stop trying to see me? I don't know. A long time. What do you see now? A long time. Which sounds like cheesy, but it's really, really cute. I don't know. That you've denied yourself this for so long that you just don't. You know, you've kind of shut off your emotions towards that person. That you don't see them in that way anymore because you don't allow yourself to. But now that that door is open, you see a long time with that person. So they stay in a friend's apartment while they're out, and the tension is thick. For as long as she could remember, Clarissa had told herself that she was crazy, that no matter what she thought of her father, he was right. Ultimately, there was a wrong way to live, to love, and to survive. She'd, much as she didn't want to admit it, spent 6 years with her husband, pretending she wasn't picturing somebody else almost every single time. And Amanda had, hey, Amanda said. It's you, Clarissa replied, and it was. And they kiss, and everything is soft and gentle, with an underlying desperation and need. They end up having sex. It's obviously, again, it's not like graphic, but the way that it's written is very soft and quiet. I don't know how to describe it, but the writing style is very peaceful. So afterwards, Amanda goes to shower and Clarissa stays back to just reflect and process everything. And when Amanda comes back, she asks what they are now, and they eventually just settle on life partners. Finally, we reach chapter 16, the epilogue chapter. It's 2 years later, and Clarissa's reflecting on whether or not herself at 16 will love who she is now. You know, she was dealing with all these expectations versus who she is now, where she's so much more free. She says, quote, "So desperate to be seen as capable, so blind to what she really desired, caged and licking the bars to dissolve them because she was too afraid to gnaw." Which I really like. Because she was too afraid to gnaw? God. They're making plans to head over to the UK to have a birthday party for Aisling. Mark is visiting his father to look after a mysterious Bazzy. "Can you look after him?" Mark asked his father, dramatically going onto his knees. "He's my son, your grandson." "No, he's not." "Come on, you owe me." After some more convincing and Mark's father finally agreeing to look over Bazzy, Mark is thinking about how much healthier and nicer his father is now.
While he's thinking about this, Bazzy takes the opportunity to wander into the room, and here we get, I think, the best reveal in the entire story, that Bazzy is a dog. Mark got his dog.
Mark thinks about how he's not burdened with nor gifted enough to be a father, and he says to himself, he wasn't a shitty father. In fact, he wasn't a father, and this was because he wasn't shitty. Which character growth? That's so sweet. A very big theme of this story is also breaking the cycles of abuse. And with Mark, it's especially prominent. We leave off with Mark and his father there, but I do appreciate that it's not just like a one and done thing, because that's not how real life is. But I do appreciate that the dad is still trying. And I do appreciate also that Mark isn't like fully on board, like, yeah, you're my best friend, Dad. Because abuse really messes a person up. But they've gotten to a point where they can talk to each other, and where Mark trusts him to look after his dog, his son, apparently. So 20 minutes away, Amanda's asking her mom to water the plants while she's out. She's reflecting on her relationship with Clarissa. They sleep together in the same bed. Their toothbrushes are in the same cup. Sometimes they shower together. Not for any sexual purpose, just sharing the space together. It was intimate in a way nothing else was. I don't know exactly how to describe, because most of the character development is put on Clarissa and Mark, but we do get to see Amanda's progression from, like, denying herself Clarissa's love to embracing it. A few days later, they're all together for Aisling's birthday. It's mostly for the adults, and everyone's sharing stories and catching up and updating each other, and the next day, Amanda and Clarissa go hiking, and they're sharing, they're just sitting at the top and sharing food and ruminating on the future together. Clarissa thinks about how not everything's perfect, but in these quiet moments, everything's kind of okay. They were good seconds, even when there weren't good minutes, hours, or days. Things weren't over yet. She was only 25. Which is a good callback to the last time she was up on a cliff. Amanda and Clarissa make their way back down, and this comes my most favorite part of the entire fanfiction. I genuinely teared up reading it both times. As they were walking from the car back to the farmhouse, her phone buzzed in her pocket. She let go of Amanda's hand to check what it was. Her mom was calling. It was inviting to take the call and spend a fraction too long on the phone to her mom, trying to satiate her every worrying question, accepting invites and rejecting help. But she just pressed one of the automated messages and kept walking, curling her fingers back around Amanda's. She was alright to just be here, living in the moment. She was alright. It's so beautiful. And then the callback to Clarissa's friggin' DIY wedding, where she picks up the phone because she's not in the moment. That's so good. Now, I don't know where else to add this, so I'm gonna shove it here at the end. Throughout the entire story, it's constantly brought up that Mark's hair is very thin or clinging on for dear life. Towards the end of the story, he shaves his head, and I think this could easily be read as a metaphor for moving on, for letting go of societal expectations, of your expectations of yourself, for letting go of normalcy, to stop clinging to something that's already over. It's basically his relationship with Clarissa and his future of like kids and, normalcy, but represented through his hair. And I think that's really interesting. And that's where the story ends. That's Clarissa's DIY disaster. And it's one of my most favorite things I've ever read in my entire life, and it really made me like Clarissa's DIY Wedding even more than I already did. Please go read it. Please go watch the play, and then please go read this. I had to cut out so much because 1, I'm trying not to make this video like a million years long, and 2, I don't feel right just like taking it and being like, yeah, you don't have to read it, like I read it, like you can just listen to this and you basically read it. No, there's like so much that you've missed. Everything about it resonates so deeply, and it was so fun. It was so fun to read. Again, blew my expectations out of the water, and I really like this fanfiction.
Now that this video is over twice the length that I wanted it to be, I should mention that I am going to be making a Clarissa's DIY Disaster and Wedding by Association animatic music video thing sometime in the future. So subscribe if you do want to see that, I guess, or just check in periodically, I don't know. I'm also going to be posting a video about fruit sometime soon, some book videos too, some other random stuff, but you know. So thanks for watching. Links to everything will be in the description, obviously. Definitely check them out.